So was there enough evidence yet? You know, when Caitlin Clark was injured, I think we got to learn a lot of things. We got to learn about, just on a small scale, we got to learn about what the Indiana Fever would look like without her. On a larger scale, we got to see what the WNBA at large would look like without her. It's no secret. We saw various reports of the ratings being down 50% without her, not only for the Fever games, but across the league. General interest seemed to go down a little bit. Now, last year, there was this constant push and pull, this tug of war, essentially for credit, for adulation, and just a general lack of embrace, I think, in Caitlin Clark's direction, that this year, this performance over the weekend and the injury has shown. This has been the clearest example of why Caitlin Clark is different, of why Caitlin Clark is special. You can look at her second year stats right now. They are out of this world. She's got 5 games played, so if you look at all the leaderboards, she won't be on there yet. Give it a week or two. But I came across this really interesting video from Rachel Nichols that I want to share with you guys, and we're going to take a look at it together here. All right, and shout out to @ClarkSeason for clipping this up.
Yeah, I think this absence and then how she came back really sort of solidified all of that. Because when she came into the league, obviously interest went way up and some of the finances went way up. But there was some argument that it was a little bit of, a rising tide lifts all boats, and the popularity of the league had been increasing anyway. And Angel Reese was also a big star coming into the league.
You heard a lot of that stuff. You heard a lot of, hey, this was already growing in a certain direction. It's not all about Caitlin Clark. Who can ever forget Cheryl Reeve? The W is more than one player. Various reporters to this day will say just this entire league is not about Caitlin Clark. And I don't think necessarily it needs to be framed of like, this is Caitlin Clark and this is the rest of the Temptations, essentially. Like, it doesn't need to be David Ruffin and the Temptations, but we need to know who David Ruffin is. We need to acknowledge who Caitlin Clark is. And I think that's been the big struggle with all of this.
But here we go with Caitlin Clark singularly being missing for the time she was gone, and ratings tanking 50% in some cases. And then also she comes back and reminds everyone how spectacular she is. And everybody's talking about the WNBA. So if you needed to sort of have it affirmed to you that it is just her, that the singularity of her is what we are talking about and her star power, you got it with this absence and then the way she came back.
It used to just be us on YouTube. It used to be a couple other channels that pop up in the algorithm and the suggested ones. Shout out to everybody that's making their videos and, talking about what it is and what it isn't. But now the big guys are starting to follow our lead in calling this out. The reason why I started making videos about Caitlin Clark was I had reacted to some highlights that she did. And I was a long-time WNBA fan, kind of lapsed over the last decade or so, I'd say, but still followed the college game every year, knew who all the big stars were pretty much. But Caitlin Clark was so different. The way that she plays the game is unlike anyone else. She had a perfect storm of a great story, being on her hometown team, underdogs situation in the NCAA tournament, and then she just rolled out one of the best rookie seasons I've ever seen in any sport.
I thought it was fascinating the way other people who have been around the league for a long time reacted to it. Rebecca Lobo, for example, she's been around the WNBA for almost 3 decades. She said, I've never, ever seen anything like this.
And Rebecca Lobo has been somebody who has kept it a buck about Caitlin Clark from before she got in the league. She said this was going to be an MVP candidate while she was still in college. If Rebecca Lobo can say, I've never seen anything like this in the history of the league, I think it will not hurt everyone else to acknowledge the same thing, or at least listen to Lobo and reconsider. So I've got the Rebecca Lobo footage. Let's take a look at it.
Rebecca, tell me, what does Clark's return mean for the WNBA?
Well, I mean, it means a lot more people are paying attention once again. We know how much Caitlin drives ratings. We know how much Caitlin drives attention on the WNBA. And for her to come back and do it in that way was just ridiculous. I mean, I'm sitting there at the end of the first quarter when she had that 38-second stretch where she drained deep three after deep three after deep three. I was just sitting there thinking, I've been around this league since 1997. I have never seen that in a WNBA game. Have we seen players go on runs? Of course we have, but not like that. Not where a couple of the three-pointers are from 30-plus feet. It was an exhibition by her. After being out for 19 days to recover from an injury.
Underrated part of all this, Rebecca just said, out for 19 days, knowing you got to make a statement. You're on national TV. It is not just national TV. Hey, you're on cable. You are on the broadcast game of the week, essentially, and you show back up and you do what you do in the first quarter where it looks like you just leave the earth, essentially. You come out there hotter than the devil sitting on Mercury. This was special and sensational.
Couple that with the other passes that she made and some of the other plays. It was just ridiculous. It's not often that you're watching the WNBA or that I'm watching it and I'm like, wow, I've just never seen this before.
Rebecca, first of all, it's wonderful to see you, and I got to tell you, I mean, I'll talk to you and complain about the WNBA not helping me out with tickets, okay, at a later date. I'll talk to you about that at a later date. Right now, let me focus on Caitlin, because the girl comes back, she does a thing, 32 points, 55% shooting, 7 to 14 from three-point range.
We're going to speed it up a little.
In your estimation, where do you rank her as a shooter in the WNBA, and considering her assist, where do you rank her as a player in the WNBA in just her first 1.5 seasons in the league?
Stephen, it's funny because I was listening to your last segment where you were talking about Steph Curry and you said he's the greatest shooter God ever created. On Saturday, Caitlin Clark certainly looked like that for the WNBA in terms of what she was able to do. As a player, she finished last year 4th in MVP voting. This is a player this year is second favorite right now in MVP right behind Nafisa Collier. Last year she was the best guard in the league. So, in terms of the context of the history of the league.
Say it. She's not lying like these general managers who are saying Chelsea Gray was the best point guard in the league. There is no justification at this point for any other arguments. I will listen to you about, hey, such and such is having a great season, like Alicia Gray having a great season. But when we're talking about who's the best, what are we doing, man?
Time will tell, but in terms of the impacts he has had both on and off the court, history of the league, time will tell, but in terms of the impact hard in the league. So player this year is second favorite right now in MVP right behind Nafisa Collier. Last year she was the best guard in the league. So, in terms of the context of the history of the league, time will tell, but in terms of the impacts he has had both on and off the court and one season plus, it's certainly right up there. We were talking with our crew after the game, we got at least 10 more years of watching Caitlin in her absolute prime.
Yes, Lord.
And it's so exciting. It's so fun to watch her. She's certainly the most exciting player, certainly the most fun player to watch in the league right now. And we're just going to see kind of her legacy continue to grow as she has more performances like we saw on Saturday. And again, time will show how long is it going to take her to get that Indiana Fever team to a WNBA championship.
I think Rebecca might have said it even better than I could right there. Shout out to Lobo, who's always kind of been honest, despite... It's amazing. Where did Rebecca Lobo go to college? Oh, that's right. She went to UConn. She started the UConn Mafia, and yet she can give it up. I don't know, man. You tell me. Anyway, my name is Rich Latta. I hope you guys enjoyed what Rachel Nichols had to say and Rebecca Lobo. I think more people are going to start saying the correct thing. If not, they're going to keep getting proven wrong, and we're going to bring them to the channel next. So anyway, my name is Rich Latta. Make sure you visit onelifetimeworldwide.com right above my head there, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.